So grateful. I'm truly, truly grateful to be here this morning. I mentioned on a post that I posted this morning or late morning in that I bumped into somebody, a friend of mine who works at Trader Joe's in my neighborhood. I went in, I said hello, and told me his father passed away last week from a car accident, a motorcycle accident, rather. And it just made me realize how grateful I am to be here. He responded that he was so grateful. He had gratitude. That was the emotion that he expressed to me when he told me about the loss of his father. And I can't imagine what he's going through. Both my parents are here in this world. I have a grandmother alive. I have friends and family, and I'm so grateful for what I have. And the gratitude that this guy expressed to me was truly unbelievable, truly remarkable. It just showed the resiliency that humans have, that in spite of things that are going on, yet we could still maintain gratitude, we could still maintain a positive attitude regardless of what's going on, regardless of the worst case scenario. Because when someone passes away, right, what's worse than that in a sense is that we lose somebody we love. That is one of the most challenging moments that anyone has to go through in this life, is that the journey of this physical existence is at some point we are not going to be here anymore. And I know people don't like talking about death and they don't like talking about not being here, but the reality is that we all go through that journey, and that's something that we can't do with anybody else. But we to lean into the gratitude of the people that we have here in this journey, that we're in this journey together, and we're walking each other home in this journey, and that however long we have here. And I said to him, you thank you for telling me, because it reminds me of the importance. Like, my children are coming back to my home today, just to be grateful, just to give them a little bit of a longer hug, a little bit more love, a little bit more connection, because you never know, right? Something can happen on your next drive when you're walking in the street, and whether it's not being here, or struggles when it comes to finances, or struggles when it comes to health, or when it struggles when it comes to anything. We never know how life's going to be one moment to the next. One moment you have everything, the next moment you have nothing. One moment you're here, the next moment you're there. And I know that fear of, like, we don't know where that is. To me, life is continuous. It's never ending, meaning this life goes, but but we continue to go on. I truly, truly believe that. I went deep into my heart to know, to me, that's my truth, that you never not go, you never end up nowhere, because you always end up here in this present moment. This morning, or rather again this afternoon, I went to this meeting, and in the meeting, somebody mentioned the idea of just being present. What's up, Parker? Someone just mentioned this idea of being present and said, you know, when you have gratitude, you could end up being, that's how you get yourself back to the present moment. So in spite of everything happening, in spite of, that my friend telling me that his father passed away, in spite of the difficulties we are facing, if we could lean into gratitude, and then we can lean into present moment and come back and be thankful for what we have in this moment. Because again, we take life is very, very short. And there's, I know that there's the idea of like, let's make it happen right now. We have to make things happen. But it's more about leaning into gratitude and being thankful, because, like, again, I'm super thankful to be here. I'm super thankful for, what's up, Ashton? I'm super thankful for you guys being here. I'm super thankful to be healthy. How many people are not healthy? A couple years ago, I went through a health issue. Thank God, Ashton. I'm so grateful. I was just mentioning earlier, if you weren't here, that friend of mine, I bumped into a friend of mine who just told me his father passed away. And this guy's not like a close friend, a friend that works at the store. We became friendly, and he was telling me about his dad passing away. But he was telling me how much gratitude he had, regardless of what happened with his dad. And it just showed me, it reminded me, it is so sad. And I felt for him in that moment. I was leaving the store and he was coming in, and I gave him a hug, and I gave him a hug before I even knew that, that his father passed away. And I'm so grateful that I did, because you just don't know. You don't know what people are going through. Not everyone's sharing with us what's going on. Now, it happens to be that people do share things with me, even if I'm not so close to them. Because if you open the door to be present with somebody and to have that conversation, just being present with them and fully being there, not running out to the next thing, people tend to open up to you because they know that you're not running. When they see that you're still and you're present, then they're willing to open up and share deeper things that they might not want to share with other people because people are constantly running places. And it goes back to the idea of like when we're always running and running and going for the next thing, we lose the presence of this moment. We lose the gratitude because we're always like wanting more than what we have. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting more, but it's more of understanding that you can have all the things in your world. You could have collect and collect and collect, but at the end of the day, at some point, all the collection of what we have goes to whoever it goes to because we don't get to keep everything. We only get to have what we have right here, right now. What's up, Immortal Bear? Thank you for saying hello. If you're new here, my name is Yoni. I am a life coach. I coach men to find calm through chaos. So, of course, hit that like and follow. DM me, message me. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram, more so here, and TikTok are my main forums. So I'm truly grateful to share this with you guys today. I mentioned earlier that my children are coming back with me today, and it's if you have children, if you have loved ones, give them a hug. Give them a hug today. Give them a warmer hug. Hold them for an extra second. I know my kids sometimes push me away. I know, like I'll give them a hug and they're like when I give them a kiss, they're like, like doing one of those. So it's more allowing ourselves to appreciate the loved ones we have right here, right now. Thank you for the like. It's not in the future liking something. Oh, I'll be grateful when I have that. It's being grateful for what we have right here, right now. I saw a message this morning. I don't know if you guys listen to Bashar. Bashar's a channeler, Daryl Enka. He's a channeler, channels this being called Bashar. And he was talking, someone asked him about money. Of course, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. And he was talking about money. And he said, someone asked the question, what about the fear of running out of money, right? And he said, you're caught up in what you're caught up in, but you don't realize there are other ways of things working out for you. And even in that way, it's like my friend who had someone pass away, it's looking at the other aspects of your life, not focusing necessarily, you have to grieve, but allowing yourself to grieve while also noticing, this guy said to me, I'm grateful. That was his word out of his mouth, not my mouth. He said, I'm grateful. I asked him, how you doing? He says, I'm grateful. And I'm like, wow, that's such a lesson that his father passed away, not mine, not anyone in my life. And he's telling me he's grateful. Many people are not grateful when people pass away. And again, that's not for us to judge whether or not someone's grateful. I am so thankful, Ashton. You have no idea. I went through a lot in my life. I've had experiences I've had surgery. I was struggling for a while with certain things and scared to share with people. I'm a very open person. And when people ask me the right questions, you'll get the right answers. I've learned, though, I don't necessarily share everything until people ask me because it may not be helpful. You're the best of teaching. Oh, thank you. What I find is that everybody teaches, right? So when we're outside, when we're learning, when we're paying attention, everyone's a teacher. Everything is a teacher. The drivers in the other cars are teaching you either how to drive slow or how to drive fast or how to cause chaos or how to be calm when you drive. I've learned from my own experiences. I've learned from nature. I watched the birds. I watched the sun come up. I noticed those things and I really learned to lean into the appreciation of what I have. And that's what's going to make us glad. Now, people will say, I've had this before because people are like, yeah, easy for you to say if you had all the money in the world. First of all, I don't have all the money in the world. I'm grateful to say that. And I'm also grateful to say that actually I've been on a journey where I left my job to become a life coach now, but I left my job for a while because it wasn't about money for me. It was about finding my own truth, my own happiness, which is I didn't want to do that anymore. And I wanted to find what path worked for me. And the truth is that even that path that we take, we don't know where it's going to go. We could decide we're taking a path, but if we're open to the idea of we don't know what's going to happen, as Bashar said, if you're open to the idea that maybe those breakthroughs are not necessarily going to come the way you think it's going to come, if you're stuck into focusing on it has to come a certain way, then it's going to have to come a certain way. But if you're open to the idea of whoever comes my way, then you never know what's going to happen. And that brings you into a place of that's the true abundance, knowing that the abundance is from every source. I live in apartments. You can make my day better. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that the way I view it, Immortal Bear, is that first of all, I live in an apartment too. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have what I have. I'm grateful every night when I go to sleep. I do a gratitude journal and I write 3 gratitudes. Now they're sometimes very small gratitudes. It could be something as simple as thank you for my breath, Thank you for that conversation with my mother, or thank you for that conversation with a friend. Something small and simple. But I know that when I put those gratitudes down on my journal, when I go to sleep at night, I go to sleep with the notion, thank you. Thank you for the blanket, for the warmth of my bed. Thank you for my bed. Thank you for this moment. Thank you. And when you live in that place of gratitude, you're fully here and you're like, all right, whatever comes tomorrow is going to come tomorrow, but I go to sleep. People complain about not having good sleep. And I'm like, I only got 4 hours last night. I'm so thankful. Slept well, woke up, wasn't so tired, got up, started the day. And if you live in a place of gratitude, then when you go to sleep at night, you sleep better. When you wake up in the morning, you feel better because the first thing you do when you wake up, thank you for waking up. When you go to sleep, thank you for what I have right here. It's the place of understanding that the more you lean into gratitude, the more present you become and the more positive you become. And then you live in a place called flow because you're grateful instead of the other way. I know the other way because I used to be in the other way a few years back. I worked on myself for the last few years to get out of that place of the fear-based way of living and living in a place of openness, abundance, manifestation, love, compassion, awareness. When you live in these states of mind, what starts to happen is things start to open up for you. But it's again about being really present to being able to see those things that are literally right in front of us. I know it's hard for us sometimes to see what's right in front of us. And then when a friend tells us a tragedy that happened, then it reminds us, oh, yes, tragedies happen. Things that are out of our control happen all the time, by the way. We can't control most things. We can only control what we do. Like if I decide to go on this live or not go on the live, that's within my control. But a lot of things are happening without our control when people are not even with us. So if someone gets ill in your family, or something bad happens, or you lose your job, so someone could get fired, or like I worked at a place where I was working as a director of a homeless shelter for a period of time, and the program shut down. It was out of the program's control, so no one got fired. The program shut down. Everyone lost their jobs at that moment. Now, it happened to be at that time I was working multiple things at the time still, so I was able to quickly segue into something else. But the point is that you just don't know. And then in the moment that you're feeling right now, and obviously it's right after New Year's, hopefully we can lean into this gratitude of a new year. But so quickly, when we would go from 25 to 26, and within 10 minutes, I was somewhere for New Year's, and within 10 minutes of New Year's beginning, this guy I was with was like complaining to his wife. So I made like a joke, like, "Oh, it only took 10 minutes, and you're right back in it." And he started laughing, and I brought him right back into the present moment of, why are you leaning back into the old way of living? Why are you leaning into this way of like arguing or being upset or frustrated all the time, instead of learning to lean into gratitude, learning to lean into the present? Like, forget, that's the whole thing of a new year. A new year is a new opportunity to leave the old stuff in the back burner and to be fully present now, to like realize, whoa, okay, I have my health, I have my well-being. In this case, like, I'm able to talk. Someone asked, I was at an ashram yesterday. I've been going only the last couple weeks. First time in my life been to an ashram. And for those of you who have not been to an ashram is a Buddhist temple. And after they have their meditation services and their singing services, and they do a lunch, and then after the lunch they do a little, like, you sit around together. And someone was talking about, people with disabilities, and one of the leaders was saying, he's like, yeah, he's like, you know what, he's like, but do you have that disability? And the person said no. So he said, just be thankful that you are healthy. Be thankful for what you have. Don't get caught up in what someone else's stuff. Now, if you're helping that person, great. But if you're just talking about a random situation, it's more of, when you see someone who's less fortunate than you, it's not to be caught up in their less fortunateness. It's to be grateful for your experience. And people might think, ooh, that's selfish. You're not thinking about the other person. You might not know the other person. You just met them. Like this guy at Trader Joe's I mentioned, I don't know him well. I know him from going there. We became friendly. I mean, I gave him a hug today because we know each other. We talk all the time. I don't just run through the day. I'm grateful for them being there. They're very helpful people. If you ever go to Trader Joe's, they're all smiling people. They're all like trying to make people happy. And I realize that, wow, sometimes when you spend a few minutes extra with those people, You learn from everybody. So why not learn from the people you're already in the store? You might as well learn from the people you're standing on. They're ringing up your stuff. Have a conversation. Be grateful that they're there. If they weren't there, I mean, nowadays we have like computers that you can just put it in. You're not ring it up yourself. But I appreciate the conversations. That's what makes this journey a little bit more enjoyable. Is that you meet people wherever you go. You see people wherever you go. And sometimes we're too busy running past that person, not realizing that person could change our life from one conversation if we were just slow down. I actually saw, I don't know if I think it was a movie. I'm pretty sure it was a movie a while back where this person was on their phone and this guy was on the phone, this woman was on their phone, and they're walking on the street and they walk past each other and they're both looking at their phones so they don't see each other, right? And then they show a juxtaposition of like what happens when people are paying attention and they're not on their phones. They could be on their phones, but just paying attention. And then they cross paths and then they say hello. And the next thing they're having a conversation. And the next thing they know, they start dating. And then the next thing you know, they're having a whole family together. So it's just allowing ourselves to be present to the idea that maybe anyone might change our life. It could be one conversation that could change your life. It could be one hello that could change your life. It could be, anything. But it's just allowing ourselves to be present to that idea that it's possible to live in a place of gratitude. It's possible to live. Yes, so things in life happen that are not things we don't wish certain things happen. But the reality is that they do happen and we have to talk about it. We're scared to talk about it. We're scared to talk about a lot of things. But death is one of those things that, like, I remember when I first started talking about death, my mom was like, "Oh, you're talking about death so much." And I'm like, I don't talk about death of like being scared of death. I talk about death as like that's the ultimate mystery. But really, you talk about death so you can be like, wow, thank you for this existence. Thank you for my breath. Thank you for the food. Thank you for this conversation with you guys right here, right now. That's what death is. That's why we talk about death. That's why, because it allows us to really live and be grateful for the existence, being grateful for our health. When we see loved ones not feeling great, what do? We're taking care of them, but we should also, when we step out of the taking care of them and helping them, to be grateful for our own health, to be grateful that we're in a position to help. How many times do we need help and we want others to help us? It's the same idea that when we're helping somebody else, to lean into the gratitude, to be able to shift into, wow, I'm so thankful to be able to help anyone out there. And that's what I feel like when I go live on a YouTube or when I go on a live on a TikTok. I feel the same way. Like, I'm grateful whoever comes on, whether I could help one person or 10 people or however many people that come across my path. My idea is that if you can just help one person with one situation and make them feel a little bit better throughout their day right now or throughout this journey of life, you are changing worlds. Because if you change one person, if you change yourself, you are changing your entire surroundings. You may not be able to change the global world in that way, but eventually you would be able to, in a sense, because the more you lean into that place, the more you put yourself out in a place of gratitude and love and compassion for the world. And then you start putting out those messages of compassion and love to the world then responds to you in that way. Not right away, because nothing happens right away. That's not how it works, but it works in a course of time. If you allow yourself to sit in that patience, in that mystery of life, then the mystery unfolds in such a beautiful way. But it only works when we allow ourselves to sit with gratitude. We watch these manifestation videos. We watch these videos of abundance and we're like, yeah, I tried the manifestations. I tried the abundant things. It doesn't work. That's being ungrateful for what you have right now. Allowing yourself to be grateful for what you have and then being in a place of abundance. Allowing yourself to be like, I have it all. I have it all right here, right now. Because I have my health. I have my voice. I have my physical well-being. Thank you. And that is all the wealth. You know that if someone had all the money in the world, but they don't have their well-being, they can't enjoy what they currently have. It's very hard to be grateful when you don't have your health. Although, part of my journey in my life is that when I went through some struggles in my life, I learned to shift my struggles into gratitude. I learned to sing through pain, to breathe through pain, singing and breathing through pain. When you're in pain, we know when we're in emotional pain, sometimes we turn. Oh, well, thank you for coming back. When we're in emotional pain, sometimes, like we're praying, God, oh, help me, help me, help me. And we don't realize that that's coming from a place of we have no, like, we feel like we can't turn to anybody else. But when in those healthy moments, when we're healthy, when things are going well, are we still having that mindset of being thankful and grateful, whether it's your belief in a higher power, God, universe, to being thankful? It's really like, I joke, but it's not really a joke. When you pray, people think like, oh, you're praying to like some entity. You're praying. You know, when you're praying, when you're saying words or you're thinking things, you know who you're talking to? Yourself. You are literally talking to yourself. When you say, that's what affirmations are. When people say positive affirmations, what's the point of saying them? Is to say to yourself. So you're hearing yourself say positive things about yourself to put you back into that positive place. Prayer is the same way. Prayer is really a lot of prayer, at least what I do, is a lot of gratitudes, more of the gratitudes than anything else. Because what you're really doing is you're being grateful to recognize these positive things that are happening in your life. And when you're starting to lean into a positive flow, that's how you truly grow. You allow yourself to go in the flow, and it doesn't matter how slow. You learn to just plant those seeds in the ground, plant the seeds of gratitude, plant those seeds of love, and then realize that if you keep on planting those seeds of gratitude and love and compassion, what starts to happen is your world around you starts to show you. It's like when you start being thankful for the sun coming up in the morning, the sun will shine brighter for you. When you start to notice the blue in the sky, the blue in the sky shines a little brighter. When you start to love people, you feel more love. Not that they have to love you back. You just feel that love inside you. You feel that love because you're living in a place of gratitude, of positivity, of connection. When you are connected to the universe, when you're connected to source, when you're connected to this thing we're doing here, to other humans, that's whole part of source, humans, nature. When we're connected to each other, we feel more loved. We feel that this journey is easier. That's why we're running to relationships. That's why so many of us are running to relationships, because we want this journey to be easier. But then when we're in this journey with somebody, how do we want it to be? Well, hopefully you're together in a place of gratitude. You're uplifting each other. You're being grateful when you come home at night to give that person a hug and a kiss and to say I love you and to really appreciate them. And I know for myself growing up that sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget. We're caught up in our struggles, the daily grind. It's so tough. And we're caught up in our sufferings. And when we hear other people who are struggling and they're grateful, that's the reminder. It's the reminder to be like, whoa, yes, I forgot about that. It's okay. And it's okay to forget. It's okay to forget, but we come back. Each time we go through a pain in life, pain is the greatest teacher. Pain makes us very present because we're so in pain. So we feel, and then we feel into this moment. But that idea of feeling that pain in that moment is to allow us to be thankful for that pain. Ram Dass, my teacher, used to say that he was thankful for his pain. He was thankful for the grace of suffering, because when you go through pain in life, it forces you to be grateful for the things you do have, not to focus on what you don't have. We all don't have things we want. Not everyone has everything they want. Even if you have all the money, you might not have the partner you want. Even if you have the partner, you might not have the money. Even if you have both of those, you might not have your health. You might not have children, or you might have not as many children as you want, or you might have not many friends as you want, or you might have not have the job that you like, or whatever it is. And when we focus on the negative, we end up in this negative loop, as opposed to understanding that, oh, what do I have? And you have what you have. Each one of us have different things. I know for myself, I lean into gratitude of what I do have. I have my health. I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. I have beautiful children. I have beautiful family. And then I lean into that gratitude of thank you. My brother was texting me this morning all about football. For those of you who watched football yesterday, I'm so grateful. My brother and I, sometimes we talk sports. I'm not like crazy into it like I used to be, but I'm so thankful that my brother engages me, even if it's about something that maybe I'm not as crazy about it as I used to be, right? Sometimes we speak to our loved ones and they're talking to us about things that maybe we don't have as much interest in it as they do, but to appreciate the connection we have with that loved one, to appreciate what they're offering to us, not to dismiss them and push them away, but to allow them and to be like, yes, thank you for sharing that, or even engage on whatever level we can. For me, I watched some games yesterday. I say some games. I watched one game yesterday, and I was talking to them about that one game, and we were talking about the playoffs next week. And when I got off the text message, we were texting back and forth. I'm so grateful to have that connection with my brother, right? And there's nothing I could do about my relationship with him growing up, and I can't really do much about the future, but I can do much about the future if I focus on the present. If I'm grateful in the present and I engage in the present, then what happens in the future? Well, usually what happens is if you're staying in a positive gratitude type of situation and place in your life, what starts to happen is you start to live moment to moment in that place and you keep coming back to it. And that really is because you develop a sense of awareness. When you develop a sense of awareness, that it's hand in hand with gratitude. It's almost like if you're truly present, you would be grateful. And that's how I view it, because if you viewed it as the future never happened, the past already happened, the past is literally dead, the future is not existent yet. The only moment is now, 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 now. Each moment, each breath. If you're here with me now, there's no mistake. You're in this moment. But when you come to this moment, if there really is here now, that's it. You're like, oh, I'm thankful for life. I'm thankful for breath. I'm thankful for consciousness. I'm thankful for you guys being here. If you're here, of course, like and follow. I appreciate that as well. My name is Yoni. I am a coach. I help people remain calm in chaos. Part of remaining calm in chaos is, again, leaning into gratitude, leaning into the knowing that you're being taken care of by the universe. Now, that's a hard one for people to know that you're being taken care of, because you look around, you're like, what do you mean? All this suffering and all this pain, they're not being taken care of, and there's death, and we're not going to be here. And how is that, being taken care of if we're not going to be here? Well, the answer that I found is that for myself was that when I realized, oh my God, I'm here forever, I'm just not this body forever. I exist forever. My life is forever. That was the first realization, was like, okay, but then I have to like live this life and enjoy each moment. And when I forget to enjoy the moment, or I go into a place of pain or suffering, to come back to breathe through it, to come back to go, like, that's where nature, like, go into nature. That's where nature reminds you, you could just sit like a tree. Just sit like a tree and live in the mystery. The tree grows without anybody doing anything. The rain will come when the rain will come. It'll eat when it'll eat. It knows it's being taken care of. It doesn't complain. People could sit against the tree. You could break a branch off. You break the arm off a tree, and the tree won't complain. This tree will give you shade, even though you broke part of the tree off, even though you might have hurt the tree. And we think, oh, the trees don't talk. So the trees, how, if the trees don't talk, they're not in pain when you break. How do we know? Tree is life, just like an animal, just like us. They're life. Do animals feel pain? Of course they do. We think trees don't feel pain. We think plants don't feel pain. We don't know, because we're not a tree or we're not a plant, but they're life. Why would they be any different? Why would we assume that they wouldn't? Because science says, I know everyone runs to science. Let's run to science. Science says, science can't prove. I haven't had an animal, I haven't had a plant talk to me. I haven't had an animal talk to me either in my language. Right? We've understood now that animals do communicate. They have their own languages. Whales and dolphins, they really have their own languages. You don't think trees communicate? Look under the ground. All the roots are connected. How are they connecting like that? If you ever look into they show you the roots underground, what trees look like, they're all interconnected. They're willing to, they help one another with just by connecting. That's how they do it. They create a whole underground system of connection. I would imagine, it seems to me, that plant life is very peaceful life, a life where they don't talk out, they don't make sounds, they just get to be. They just get to be. And that's kind of how we learn how to be from nature. If we could learn from nature how to be without needing so much or wanting so much, but just to be grateful, again, to have food, to have shelter, to have people that love us, to be able to love others. What else is there really in life? That's the greatest source of life, is the fact that we're able to live and give over those messages to people, and to be in a place of love and compassion and understanding and connection. I really feel like that's the biggest place. So many people I know in life, because I know I used to feel that way, where I used to feel isolated or alone. Like, even if I was with a lot of people, many friends, and going to clubs and going to parties and hanging out, and you're with all these people, and yet sometimes you could feel so alone even amongst all these people. And the only time you're going to ever feel not alone in this existence for real even if someone's hugging you and loving you, is when you tap in to your connection to this universe. When you connect to your own realization that you are nature. And once you understand that you are nature and you understand that nature is all connected, we're never alone because nature is alive. Everything, like I look outside, I'm looking at trees, there's life all around. I'm grateful to notice that. I'm grateful to notice the life all around me. Who's ever coming on here? Life. Who's ever out there? Life. Birds flying by? Life. That's the gratitude. The gratitude to know that life continues on. It's like an old coworker of mine used to say, the ship will always sail. This life thing is going to continue on. People talk about destruction. Ooh, it's going to end. Destruction is only because we're scared of death. But really, it's a circle. It keeps on going. The world is round. It keeps going. So obviously, that means we keep going. We might not keep going here, but we keep going. But the idea is you can't really fully embody that wisdom without going inside yourself, without tapping into nature, without feeling it. You have to really feel what's real. That's the biggest thing, and is that most of us are missing, is that we don't feel here. We want to get this external thing. Give me all the money, give me the huge house, give me the beautiful wife, give me the all the kids I want, the health, everything. And then finally I'll be grateful. We know many of us know many people in those predicaments. And sometimes they are grateful, but very often than not that's not how it works. It's not you're going to be grateful once you have all those things. A lot of times you might want more and more just because you have more, therefore you might want more, as opposed to you can have as much as you want. Go after all of those. Go after your dreams, and you should go after your dreams. But while you're going after your dreams is to be grateful for the moment at hand, being grateful that you have the ability to go after your dream. Being grateful to put in the work. It's like somebody said today, instead of saying you have to do something, say I get to do something. I don't have to do anything, but I get to do this thing called life. I don't have to live this life. Someone posted on TikTok this morning also, say it was a 22-year-old girl, I believe, who posted something along the lines like, feeling so alone, like I don't want to go on living, and any advice. And my advice would be is to close your eyes and breathe into the moment, not into your thoughts. Let your thoughts run its course. What happened yesterday, what's going to happen, all those fears, let it run and run and run, and come back here and breathe and feel yourself and be grateful for your breath. Be grateful when those thoughts come into you, if somebody has those thoughts. I've had those thoughts in my life too, and I know other people do as well. We've had thoughts, scary thoughts, thoughts of people have had thoughts about hurting themselves and hurting others, and it's because they're hurting inside. So when you're hurting inside, what do you have to heal? Nothing outside is going to heal what's in here. Nothing. You can go out there and try to do all those things. It won't heal what's in here. When you want to heal what's in here, you have to go in here. You have to be grateful in here, not grateful for the external stuff. Grateful for this, for life, for existence. Grateful. And that place can only come from within, and that takes a lot of time, and a lot of us want that quick fix. A lot of us want the answers to the stuff right here, right now. I'm like, I want all the answers. I want to know. And we can't live in this mystery. I know it's the very most challenging place to live is in the mystery of life. That's why we do this thing called talking with one another about these things, because we're like, all right, how are you living? How are you living? Let me try to figure out the best way of living. Everyone has their different way of showing everyone else how to live. But in truth, uh, everyone knows. You actually know how to live. If you live breath by breath, moment to moment, gratitude, love, connection, compassion, if you live in those places, all those places that, by the way, all the religions talk about, all those religions talk about love, connection to source, connection to humanity, treat everyone like you would treat yourself. All of those places in the religions are teaching that. Most people in the world who believe in God we'll talk about these things, but how often are we living that way? Living with the love of God, that you are godly just as much as me. How often are we living in that gratitude of like what I do have versus what I don't have? How many people are thanking God and thanking themselves for waking up, for going, for doing these things, thanking your friends, thanking your loved ones for being there for you, thanking them just for existing? That place. And it starts to happen slowly when you slow down, which I speak about a lot. slowing down, noticing what's around with your feet on the ground. You're here, slow down. There's beauty all around. There's beauty in my sound. There's beauty when you know you've been found, right? There's beauty in that, found by yourself. You have to, Logan, what's up, Logan? Finding yourself in this journey, finding your true self in this journey, which is the place deep within. That place that religions talk about, spiritual people talk about, it's the place of what they call it in Buddhism. I think it's called the Atman, which is the place of the soul, the place inside your inner heart, that deep place. That place is beyond this physical body. But we're caught up in the physical, and I know we're caught up in the physical. It's hard not to be. We're caught up in the pains. Oh, I just stubbed my toe. I just banged my head. I was talking to someone how my ceiling over here is low, and at night I've closed the light and I've walked. There was one time I was walking so fast. Speaking of slowing down, I was walking so fast. I bumped my head on the ceiling so hard that I fell backwards so badly, and I was in a place of gratitude, and I was, like when your ears are ringing. I was ringing in the ears from the pain, and I was laughing and I was saying thank you, thank you, thank you for that lesson. The lesson to slow down, the lesson to turn on my light at night. Sometimes I don't want to turn on the light. The lesson to do things slowly, and the lesson to be grateful for lights. You kidding me? Back in the day, we forget. We don't. We didn't. We don't remember because we say we don't. Whether we believe we lived in another world or not. There was a time period in life where they didn't have these things. They didn't have cars. They didn't have lights. They didn't have technology. Here we're at the point we're complaining about the kids being on YouTube or TikTok, or why are the kids on so much? Well, first of all, we're on so much, but what are we doing on these devices? What are we doing here? We're here connecting with one another. The real truth is that we're just trying to get stuff for us to make this journey easier, whether it's something silly that's making us laugh, whether it's something serious that's making us cry, whether it's something about motivational or spiritual, or just a song we're listening to, whatever it is, we're trying to be inspired, we're trying to connect. What often, unfortunately, what you see nowadays is that people are coming on and trolling people. That's a term, trolling people. Well, people that are trolling people are in a negative space in their life. They're not living in a place of gratitude and love and flow. And when they're out there, they're getting upset when they see loving people or kind people or compassionate people or growth oriented people, because when you get stuck in your own non-growth, when you get stuck in your own stagnation, when you get stuck in your lack of flow, then when you see people in flow, you see people growing, you see people showing their stuff off, you're like, oh my God, why, this is silly, this is stupid, this is that, this is, and all kinds of stuff you say about it because you're in that place. The way you speak is often telling where you are inside yourself. If you constantly find yourself in a place of negativity, what does that, you're saying negative things all the time, where are you in here? Complaining all the time, where are you in here? Frustrated all the time, where are you in here? And then you'll say, but I have a physical pain. What do you mean my hand is hurting me? Yeah, but if you're focused on the hand, just on the physical pain, and you're not grateful, then you're just gonna be focused on pain. It's hurting, it's hurting. It's like, focus on, it's hurting. I feel, like I've stubbed my toe. And that I do a bunch of times. Stubbing my toe is very common for me. And when I stub my toe and I fall to the ground, I can laugh, I can smile, I can say, thank you for that reminder, whether it's to slow down, whether it's just thank you for when I'm healthy. If this is the only pain I feel in the moment, the only pain I feel is that toe, but the rest of my body's feeling great. Are you kidding me? Or like when someone gets a cut and they're bleeding in like one little spot, and like, kids, when they're like a little cut, like crying from like a little tiny cut, and it feels, and you feel for them, and you give them a hug, and you give them the band-aid, and you give them the band-aid, they're like, oh, I feel better already. That's the point. It's allowing ourselves to go through the pain in life, but allowing ourselves to band-aid the pain, if you will, by being grateful for the pain, thanking the pain. It's a weird thing to do, I know, but being thankful. Like when I had surgery, I was so thankful to the doctors. I was so thankful for them helping me. And when I woke up after surgery, I was in excruciating pain. And I was thinking, and I was singing hallelujah to the heavens. All there is this. Yes, Jupiter. Yes, exactly right. That's why I lean into the gratitude. I lean into the gratitude because this is it. This is the moment. And we get scared because the reason we get scared is because we're constantly in the next moment, and then we're always in the future moment or stuff that happened. And until we keep on coming back here, 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 here. And of course, You can't say here, 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 here all day long, but you could, in a sense, be thinking about, you could keep coming back to that while like it's playing in the background. Because if you start doing it enough, if you say be here now over and over again, or any mantra or any phrase that people have that they're saying over and over again, it actually allows you to play it in the background while you're engaging on here. Like I have my mantra going on right now. God is here, I am free. Because that the moment is now, the moment is here. So for me, God is always with me, the universe is always with me every single moment. So if I lean into that, then I'm free. I'm free. Free to go as we please. And you go and you keep going. And you keep doing these things and you keep leaning into that. And then you find yourself, anxiety only exists in the past and future and other. Exactly. This is like Jupiter. This is what I actually help people with. Like I'm a life coach and I help people find calm through chaos. And the main thing with anxiety, which I realized myself, which is that in order to get out of it, you need to become present. In order to become present, you probably need to go through a lot of chaos in your life to want to be present. Because I know for myself, I didn't want to be present. I didn't care to be present, unless, of course, it was the things I wanted. But otherwise, I was constantly thinking about the future. It was only until the point where my mind was spinning so fast that I had no choice. That was 3 years ago, maybe a little longer at this point, where I stepped into the meditation world. I stepped into meditation and mantras and prayers and nature. And I started leaning into that. And I started realizing that, wow, the only way to, like you said, Jupiter, the only way to truly get out of anxiety is to get out of the future and get out of the past and just embody the present moment. Now, again, embodying the present moment is a nice thing. A lot of people talk about it's a beautiful saying. And then it's actually, well, how do I get present? Well, the little indication, the little hint in life is breathing. We're breathing every moment. So obviously the breath gives us a key to life. I talk about the phone. The phone, if you ever notice with the phone, your phone dies. And at some point you have to charge your phone. And many people charge their phone overnight when they're sleeping. They're charging the phone throughout the night. But sometimes during the day, we have to charge our phones too. Same idea. At nighttime, we all go to sleep. It's a form of meditation. That's why we sleep. You know, scientists have not proven why we sleep at night. They come up with studies and ideas, but they never proven why we sleep at night. It's obvious. We sleep at night because we need to recharge. So it's a meditation. Sleeping, closing our body is a meditation. Now, doing meditation without sleeping is a little bit better because you're consciously aware that you're disengaging your entire being, as opposed to when you're sleeping, you're not you're just letting go of everything in that sense. That moment, you're not necessarily being conscious of your unconsciousness. So when you develop a meditation practice and you're doing it consistently over and over again, what starts to happen is your sleep becomes conscious too. You start to realize that your dreams will start to become more vivid, and you'll start to remember a lot of dreams because you're being present. So when you're going present moment, when you're in the present moment, so even your dreams start to become more vivid for you because you're being present in the moment of sleep. Therefore, your consciousness is aware of the fact, like I will know I'm sleeping. I will be having a dream. I dreamt about some people in high school recently. And I remember so many parts of the dream. And it was very interesting. There was a girl in my dream that like I would never intend to be with. And like for some reason I was chasing her in this dream, and she's married. It's just funny. But dreams are funny in general. But the idea is that if we can learn to be present, then we get rid of those worries. And it's leaning into gratitude as well, leaning into that place. But gratitude, again, if you're present, you will have gratitude. That's what it comes down to, because then you will notice. If you're present, you will notice the little things that are going on around you. You will notice the stars. You will notice the sun. You will notice the wind. You will notice the little thing that someone does for you, and you'll appreciate it that much more. We're taught to constantly run 90 miles an hour, going to the next thing, never to meditate, rest, and connect to self. Agreed. We are programmed from an early age, especially in the American culture, thank you, in the American culture, to run as fast as you can to the finish line. What is the finish line? To retirement. Let's make all the money so one day we can retire and one day we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. Are you joking me? That is the biggest joke of life. You know what you have to appreciate? This life, breathing. I've done a lot of stuff in my life, a lot. I'm 40 years old. I have 3 teenagers. I've done a lot of fun things that people thought they wanted to do. Parties, all kinds of things you could think of. And what I learned in all those journeys is that it's just collecting experiences. But at the end of the day, it wasn't It wasn't fulfilling me. Not to say there weren't moments where I wasn't happy. I was happy a lot of the moments. But I never felt happy when it was over. And I was like, I wanted more. I wanted to know, like, I wanted to learn to exist, to appreciate, to be happy with nothing. How do I be happy with just going outside into nature? How do I be happy with just my meal? How do I be happy with just my children or just my own health? That place. And that was a place of breathing. That was a place of consciously breathing and constantly being grateful, constantly going back to that. And I couldn't believe that it was possible to continue to do that. I was talking to this guy. His name is Brother Sharon. He was one of the leaders at the ashram that I went to, this Buddhist temple. And he was saying that if you say the mantras over and over again, it starts to, like I mentioned before, it starts to play over in the background. So I said to him, yeah, there's one I use. And I use, as long as we exist, we have all we need. Exactly. It's just that exists. The saying, if you've ever heard Jupiter in the spiritual world, that they say things like, you are paid to exist. You're getting paid to exist as long as you know you're getting paid to exist. And then people say, what does that mean? It means that doesn't mean you don't do anything. It just means that when you realize you're grateful for just existing, and then you share that message in ways that work for you, that what might way be, it might be a way of like, I'm becoming a medical doctor because I want to help in that way. It might be I'm a businessman because I want to create businesses that can help people get jobs. Whatever it is that you're particularly doing with that notion, what ends up happening is you live in a place of being grateful. And then when you're a place of grateful, you're looking to help others in what you are doing because you're grateful for what you have and you want others to experience what you have. When you are experiencing being cleared of the mind, what do you want to do? You'd want to share with people how to do that, how to clear out the anxiety from yourself. That's literally what I do in my life now. I'm like, no matter what's going on, I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful. I thought it was weird at some point. I'm like, whoa, how, like, I got to the place of like, why is it not, it felt so quiet. Like, it was so quiet at one point. Like, not quiet that things weren't happening, quiet like up in here. So quiet. Nothing's going on. I'm just here. It's like I have no idea what I'm going to say. I'm not thinking like, what am I going to say right now? It's like people are like, they said, hey, we did a meditation. I did a meditation in a group, and this guy was leading it, and he said he was coming up with ideas after the meditation to write about. And I said to him, I wrote the things down because it was a group activity. But I said, you want to know the truth? The truth is, I said I had nothing. There was nothing in my mind. I don't care to do any of those things. Not that I wouldn't do them, or in the right circumstances, but I said it's not that I need any of that or desire any of that. It's more just just to be here, just to be present is enough. That's enough for me. And I know that the surroundings, people around us, sometimes they want you to be like, oh, I want this, and that's okay. And we want what we want, and we're going to keep doing those things, and we get things, and we do things, and we do activities, and we go on trips, and we're going to live life, and we're going to do all those things. It's not going to deter us from living and enjoying this life. But what deters us from living and enjoying this life is living in a place of suffering up in here, of suffering, of lack of gratitude, of lack of positivity, a lack of understanding how there are universal laws. The laws of the universe are simple. You know this for yourself. You could answer this yourself. If you live in positivity, then the next moment becomes positive. The next moment becomes positive. The next moment. If you live in negativity, then the next moment usually is negative. And even when a positive moment happens, you barely recognize it because it doesn't last long. That's why I was saying, like, I could go out to all the parties, meet all the people, do all the things with the people that I want to do them with. And then because I'm not grateful, I won't appreciate it. And then what is it for? And then it doesn't lead to the place that you want it to lead to because you're leading from a place of negativity. But when you start to lean into a place of positivity, then you could go do all the same activities. It's the same thing. Like my sister said to me, I went on a spiritual journey 3 years ago. And I'm sitting with my sister not so long ago, maybe a month or so ago. And I'm sitting with her and I'm like, yeah, I'm coaching now and I'm doing life coaching. And I was telling her like about my life. And she's like, so let me get this straight. You went on a whole spiritual journey just to come back to who you already were. And I laughed and I said, yes, with one major difference. You realize you're still the same person. But what you come back to realize is that you have to do all the things with a different mindset, with a mindset of gratitude, with a mindset of positivity and love and flow. And it's a simple shift, but for some reason, it's not so easy to turn that switch on. Like when you tell someone who's in a negative place to be grateful, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, go screw yourself, right? They don't understand that because the flip of the switch is not just I flip the switch. It's an every day, every moment, moment by moment, being in that place. Not saying thank you every moment. Although I did meet one guy, this was 6 months ago. I met one guy who was not doing well mentally, but he was according to what we would think. But he'd walk around and all he'd say all day is thank you, 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 thank you. And he might not be, he didn't have a conversation. Smiling, love, giving you hugs. He was in love with the universe. Who has a better life, him or me? I talk, I have a lot of conversations. He's not really engaging and seems very happy. The complex thing is when you are in the present, it seems like everyone else is somewhere else, eyes glazed over, and they think you're strange, but you were supposed to be in the present. Oh, yes, Jupiter, thank you for that. Yes, the craziest thing is that when I started to, well, I read the book, this book, Be Here Now. For those of you who know this book, Be Here Now by Ram Dass, book changed my life. I started meditating, and then my friend handed me this book, and it was over. But when I read that book, I, it didn't read it. It read me. It was like inside me of like, okay, like learn to be present, practice the things he was talking about, meditation and sitting and letting my thoughts travel through and travel through. But yes, so many people think it's strange when people meet me now or meet anyone like that are in these worlds that are like this, that are working on presence, and you're just fully there with them. People appreciate it because like they realize their engagement with you. But when you talk about it, the idea of talking about it, that place, when you talk about it, that's when you get people, because it's one thing to talk about, like we mentioned, it's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to be about it. I realize that everyone who talks about the presence, they're not lying. It's just that all these special people that are present, it's like we look at them and we're like, yeah, but like it's not practical. Like I can't do that, or they're not always positive. It's like we'll look at like people that are actors or musicians, who are, some of them are very present people, and we'll be like, oh, they must have miserable lives. Like their lives must be like crazy afterwards. Like, yeah, they're partying, but like how many of them are really happy? If people say like that, and they don't realize that a lot of them are happy. The ones who are present are pretty happy most of the time. That doesn't mean we know their life like that, but it seems to be, as when they keep coming back and they talk about it. Like you'll hear musicians talk about the present moment. That's most songs. I'm listening, like I was listening at the song Lifehouse, hanging by a moment, right? Hanging by a moment here with you. There's nothing else, right? It's the moment. And that's all there is. And it's funny because like conversations to me, it comes back to it. It seems like it always comes back to the here and now, right? Like that's literally what I feel like it is. It's just we just keep coming back to here. There's nothing else there is. And getting people and helping people with tools to get out of it. So that's where all the tools, exercising, that's why exercising makes you very present. Sports makes us very present. Meditation can make us very present. Meditation at first makes us go spinning in our heads, but then we come back to the present afterwards. But at first we're spinning in our head. But the idea is that you got to practice down and then eventually we get it. Whitney Houston, one moment. Yeah, exactly. Whitney Houston, there you go. It is like that. It's 100%. The musicians knew. If you listen to most of the musicians, they talk about, they give us the blueprint on how they became who they became. They tell us day in and day out. No joke. That's day in and day out. Do what you love. Keep coming. Keep reflecting that. Telling people about coming to God, coming to presence, coming to love, coming to connection, coming to positivity, coming into the world of flow. Now, in any event, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm probably going to be on TikTok later today. I have to sign off now because soon, in a few minutes, I got to go pick up my children. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Of course, if you haven't already, follow, share with others, and appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one.